Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 235. And right off the hop here, before we jump into any Sharks action, I just want to say we have...
We just stunk.
Okay. I just want to say that we've seen and heard comments, and actually Super Producer Jason has experienced it firsthand as well, that the ads have been going bonkers. Now, it's not on us. We actually had this on the most conservative setting, and it was going off like every 5 minutes with a new ad. So... this time around, Super Producer Jason has his finger on the button. He'll be able to put an ad out to you guys here or there throughout the show. It will
I don't
not...
want to hear about freaking Fragile, okay?
it will not be nearly as often as you guys have seen in the past. And the ones that you do get will be him actually hitting the button saying, okay, fine, go ahead. Otherwise, we've turned them off because it's just been ridiculous.
If it doesn't work, you know who to blame.
He's like, what? That would have been the time to play. I don't want to hear freaking Fragile right there. Okay, the Sharks had 5 games this week.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of hockey.
It was a lot of hockey.
Speaking of a lot of hockey, I mean, I was in Boston, as you guys well know, and it was difficult for me to catch all of these games. Unfortunately, a lot of this I just had to watch highlights for some of these games, so we're not going to go through a whole lot of everything necessarily, but certainly if you guys would like to talk about it, please put those comments in the comment section there, and while you're at it, get some other Sharks friends and family in here. It's a lot more fun with more people in there chatting it up, so if you guys could push this out to them, that would be fantastic. Oh, here you go, read this one off.
Where are we? Q, the we just stunk. Tonight's game was horrendous. On the bright side, if there's one, we still have the number 1 draft lottery odds. I'm still scared about having the number 1 draft lottery odds. I'm scared because the Sharks would lose it, you know? Like, there's a chance that they could lose it. You going into it going, oh, we're going to have the number 1 pick, and then they don't get it, which was what I was fully expecting with the Celebrini lottery.
I would see it as you are a lock for getting one of the top 3. And in this draft, it sounds like the top 4 is kind of set. Maybe they'll shuffle those 4, but it seems like those guys are the ones that are kind of the consensus top players.
But there's no like Celebrini type player where everyone's like, this is a consensus number 1. This guy's going to be legit. He's going to be great. So I do feel better about that it won't be like, oh, they missed out on a Celebrini type player, game-changing player. Not that they're not game-changing, but that top, because Celebrini I didn't think was going to be as good as he is. We talk about this like every week because there's nothing else to talk about that's exciting. But I didn't think he was going to be as good as he has. I guess I feel like he was underbilled, undersold compared to like Bedard. But I feel like he's better than Bedard, a better overall player.
I'm with you on that one. We've certainly talked about that on the show quite a few times. I think 100%. You look at his 200-foot game, and I think Celebrini is a far more complete player already, and a lot of that has to do, I'm sure, with the conditioning. And it's something I'll probably bring up later on in the show, but it's not just his scoring prowess. It's not just his hands or his speed or how he can cut back and everything else. It's the other parts of the game that really set him apart. The ability to get in on a forecheck. And it sounds simple, but it's the ability to get in on a forecheck and buy into the physicality and the aggression. Again, I say this every week. It's not about Douglas Murray big booming hits. You're not trying to put somebody into the third row. But when you don't put your body in between the player and the puck, you're not going to get that puck back. In this league, every single player, even the skill guys, they all have to be at least somewhat physical in order to make that play happen. And Macklin Celebrini at the young age of 18 comes in and is doing exactly that. Again, all up and down the ice. Fantastic player. And obviously we're going to be talking about him this week. He did well this week, although the Sharks did not.
Right.
So
we'll get
anyway,
to that later.
We will get to that later. For now, let's go ahead and jump right in with the one game that's worth talking about here, which is the Detroit game. A 6-3 win.
That was a good win.
Fantastic.
That one felt good. Didn't it? Afterwards, you're kind of like, all right, it's off to a good start. This road trip's going to be not so bad, I guess.
You know, and we'll get to this later on, too. I did have the wild prediction. I was feeling really good about myself after this one here, right? It was 2 wins, 3 losses going into, from when I said from this point until the trade deadline. There was 2 wins, 3 losses. We just pick up a win. That's 500 hockey right there, baby. I'm feeling good. So, it doesn't go that well for the rest of the week, but we'll get there. This one here, again, Jan Ruda starts off the scoring. Big booming slap shot. He's not exactly known for his offensive prowess, but the man is strong.
Yeah.
Right? And it came through on the flex on that stick, and he just snapped this thing just a big booming shot, and it's great having that from the blue line. We miss having that kind of thing with Brent Burns, although he didn't do slappers as much as those sneaky wristers that just always seem to find their way through, But again, Ruda gets him on the board in this one here. Then there was just some really nice plays that were going on. A lot of the times you saw a lot of chemistry between Macklin and Celebrini. Those two, again, I love the combination together. I like them so far the most. Anybody else with Macklin's been good, but Eklund and Macklin have been great.
The chemistry's amazing.
Yes.
It's exciting to see what the future beholds, because I'm sure they're going to be maybe not sticking together all the time, but a lot of the time, because it's actually working. So early dividends, I guess, if you will, on the youngsters playing together, and always excited whenever they're on the ice. Something's going to happen in their favor too.
100%. Yeah, and the reason I love them so much together is that they're so similar. Like I've said before, they're so similar player, and having them separate on different lines, certainly you get that threat. But having them together, they're so like-minded and like-skilled, and they know that if this guy's able to go behind the back and this guy's able to go behind the back, and I know what I would be doing in that situation, they read off of each other so well because they're both more than capable, and their hockey IQ is off the charts. And again, the motor on these two. We've talked about William Eklund not exactly being the biggest guy, but he dive bombs in, and he's far more aggressive. He's like that chihuahua on the ice, right? So Macklin, again, kind of the same way. Young guy, but has no fear. Jumps right in, again, separating guys from pucks, stealing pucks. He does just a fantastic job up and down, and the two of them together put anybody else with them. I think you're right. I think that they'll put a centerman and a winger together, and then they'll kind of maybe see about that other wing and see who works. And then we've seen Tyler Toffoli with this line, that 70s line, and they're doing really well together. So it's been very productive for those three as well.
I think Mikko Rantanen will look really good on that line next season. Putting it out there.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, I like that. You said Mikko. I'm going to say Nico.
Nico?
No, not Rantanen.
Oh.
Sturm.
Oh, right.
Nico Sturm, baby. The short-handed goal. I don't know if you guys caught this one.
That was a good one.
But,
it was a good move.
It was. So it starts off, we have to give credit where credit's due.
Right.
Vlasic being very strong, right? Puck out to him. It's a shot. I think it was a rebound. He picks it up, and there's someone just basically like on his back, like a backpack. Holds him off, right? Does the veteran thing, stays calm. Moves the puck up to Eklund. Eklund takes off. And I love what Eklund does here. A lot of guys, they'll just drive the net and they'll try to just out-muscle. Eklund knows he doesn't have the speed right now. He's probably near, he's been out there for a bit, killing a penalty. And he pulls up short at the blue line and lets them kind of shoot by him. Turns away and throws a backhanded pass right behind his back, right across the blue line to a streaking Nico Sturm. Takes it in, gives him a little onesie-twosie in the back of the net. And I was just that. As soon as that went in, I was like, "Oh, I'm talking about this one."
You could tell the guys on the ice for Detroit. They were on the power play, right? And they were not used to playing defense because all three of the guys went to Eklund, which left the middle wide open, which is where Sturm streaked. And kudos to both of them for Eklund to see it and for Sturm to notice it and to streak and go up there. And after the game, Eklund had said that he saw Sturm coming because they asked the question, like, did you know he was going to be there? Were you planning on it? Whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I saw him coming, and then I turned my back and passed it there where I thought he was going to be, and he took it. And he even said it was a great move that he put on.
Yeah, and there was a couple goals here where you look at the Detroit D, and they were just off in no man's land. You had, I think it was Eklund put one behind the boards, or around the boards behind the net to Celebrini. Celebrini popped out the other side. And everybody covered the guy on the wing as opposed to Eklund, who they all left alone. And then he just goes, cross crease past Eklund, just bangs it in. And it's like the D just went on vacation. There's another one, again, Granlund, same thing. Defense went on vacation on that one, too. And even another goal, which I'm drawing a blank on, is Toffoli, I think.
Toffoli.
Again, it was Justin Hall playing defense, or he just kind of playing around with the puck in front of the net. And it's like, are you going to dump this thing, or what's going on? And they're just kind of like creeping up on, okay, fine. And they just take the puck away and then back of the net. So, yeah, Detroit's defense did not do a very good job on that one. I've actually heard a little bit of rumors about Detroit maybe reaching out for Erik Karlsson from Pittsburgh.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, that would make things worse. But, whatever.
Well, he would move the puck out of the back at least.
Yes. He would probably try to move the puck out. Fair enough. But not known for his defensive abilities is Erik Karlsson.
Pittsburgh, man. We'll talk about Pittsburgh
Yes,
we
will. We will. I kind of want to speed through the rest of these games because the Columbus game, a 4-1 loss.
Just real quick, they just didn't show up. They played like maybe for a period. They just it's just one of those games where I don't know if it was the schedule, like they're just tired, or it was the beginning of the road trip. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those games. Maybe it's. I feel like they get up for the big teams, the big games, right? Like they go into New York and play the Rangers, or they go into Tampa Bay and play the Lightning, or they go into Detroit's not even that up there, but going into Boston, which we're going to talk about, they played well, and they just can't. I don't know, when they play these other teams like Columbus or some other places like Utah Hockey Club, right, last week, like they just can't. They don't get up for these games, and they are lackluster and not exciting. They need to find the passion. I think that's part of the problem, which is hard to do for 82 games. I get it, but this game was ugly. Columbus is also a very hardworking team, always kind of have been. So if you're not going to be hardworking and you're going to play against a hardworking team like that, it's going to end up in the back of your net real quick and often, and that's exactly what happened. So, and I don't know if you noticed at the end of the game when they were pressing, the Sharks were pressing to tie it. Columbus had all 5 guys like in the slot on defense almost the entire time whenever they were defending.
Just a wall.
Just give them the outside. Who cares? We're just going to protect them. You're not going to get a shot because we're gonna have a guy blocking a shot and a guy behind him blocking that if they don't get through. Then another one. Then the goalie. So they're just creating a wall in front of the net. And I think at that point they had a 2-goal lead, so they didn't really need to press or pressure or anything. So frustrating. I hate games like that. I think they're boring. I feel like Utah kind of plays like that. They're just hardworking. And bunker in. I always call it bunker in soccer. I don't know what you call it in hockey, but
hunker down. Turtle.
Yeah, the turtle's a little different meaning in hockey. Okay. Fighting.
No.
Beat off walls.
It's just boring, you know? Like you don't need them to like press and score, but it makes for boring hockey. So Columbus, another Utah type team.
Okay, fair enough. We're gonna have the giggle fits again today. The only thing was with Toffoli in this game, he did have a couple chances. You can see him. He was all alone in the slot, rips a shot, goalie makes a save. He slams the stick. It happens again. He takes a shot, doesn't go, and you can tell he's frustrated. But he does end up getting the only goal, the lone goal for the Sharks in this game. So good on him for that. Again, perseverance from the veteran goal scorer. And then on top of that, Georgiev was in net, and 4 looks bad, but it really was only the 3. There was the empty netter.
So not Forgiev.
Not Forgiev again. 3 Orgiev is what I'm calling him on that one.
3 Giev.
No, not 3 Giev. Georgiev. 3 Orgiev.
3 Giev.
Oh, I was, last, month and...
So, anyway, he had a 0.909, right? So almost 91% save percentage. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
He didn't have the run support.
That's a decent game.
Yes.
That's above, I believe it's below the actual average of the NHL right now. And I just saw a chart of every year that goals against average has been going down for the last 10 years, every year. So that was actually, the save percentage was actually above average. So, yeah, a decent start.
Yeah. The New York Islanders game, again, a 4-1 loss. Really nothing to say here either. So I think for super producer Jason's sanity, we're just going to skip forward on time. Which button should I press?
We just stunk.
There you
go.
We
stunk on the power play. We stunk on the penalty kill. We stunk 5-on-5. Our forward stunk. Our defenseman stunk. We just stunk.
We got the long clip on that one. I love it. Boston game. This one made me mad because I was traveling. I was in Boston the day of the game, but I was not able to go to the game because by the time the flight got home, it was already going to be like 11 o'clock at night. And I had my son with me, and he had school the next morning. I wasn't going to be able to go to this game. So while I was traveling around trying to get to the airport and everything, this game's going on. I missed a good majority of it. But I popped in now and then where I could on my phone, and it was like 3-3 at one point. And then I had to turn it off, get in line to board the plane. I get on the plane, check the score again, 6-3 loss. And I'm going, what the hell? There was only a couple minutes left. Yeah. Now, granted, 2 of them were empty net goals.
Right. It sounds worse than it was.
Yes.
6-3 sounds like they just got destroyed.
Right.
But they actually played a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Apparently the second period was the best period that they played all season. So they did have a lot of people in the stands. I don't know if you saw that. Because there's Will Smith.
Yes.
Colin Graff, Henry Thrun, Ryan Warsofsky, all from the Boston area. And it was the first time all 4 as Sharks have played. In fact, Henry Thrun, I don't know if you saw this fact.
Yeah.
He played in every arena except Boston. The last one was the last one on his list was in Boston, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, this I didn't even get to watch this one because I was driving back in the day. So I was looking at my phone going, oh, I saw at the end of the second period, I'm like, oh, they're up 3-2. Let's see how they're going to blow this one. And then I looked later when we stopped for gas, and I'm like, yep. 6-3. I didn't even at that point. I didn't know. I just saw 6-3, and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me! Yeah. That's just brutal." And not as bad as tonight, but
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
I will say one of the things that I picked up while I was like watching and then having to do something else, watching and having to do something else, was a play with Will Smith and Mikael Granlund. And you guys know how I've been about with Will Smith this season, right? And I'm not at all denying his ability to pass the puck or his ability to shoot the puck. And on this play, that was on full display. Now, obviously, there's consistency and blah, blah, blah. But in this flash, in this moment, man, that was fantastic. He gets the puck. Again,
he picked the guy, right?
So he picks the guy. And actually, this is one of the things I didn't care for was how he picks it. It's a swoop with the stick, and he gets lucky kind of and gets it. Mm-hmm. Again, great job getting your stick there and making it happen. But if you miss that, he's gone the other direction. So I would prefer that he gets stick on stick, body on body. But hey, he picked the puck. Cool. So he has the wherewithal to get a stick out there, gets the puck. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Skates the puck off a little bit. Has Granlund behind him. He pulls the puck, whips it behind him. We've seen him do this pass quite a few times. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it absolutely does not. In this case, it did. Granlund picks it up and works it right back. Now, again, we talked about Detroit's defense not really being in the right spots. And in this game in Boston, in this play, it was kind of the same thing where the defense kind of got crossed up. If you watch that play, one defender is chasing after Smith and then sees the puck go back to Granlund and he flips back. And the other defender is just still on Granlund. They don't switch back.
They played like Sharks defense.
What's that? Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. So they get caught kind of going after, both of them going after Granlund. Mm-hmm. Granlund sees this, hits Smith. Smith's pretty much wide open, rips the shot. Fantastic.
Beautiful shot.
Fantastic.
This kid has an NHL caliber elite shot.
And again, I have no problem with his ability to shoot, his ability to pass. Those are fine. No problem with that whatsoever, right? Whatsoever, I mean, at all. But regardless, I'm just mixing words up now, man. So again, it's a flash of what this guy can be, right? And I'm glad that I was able to catch that while I was watching just bits and pieces of the game, because hopefully it's promising that I didn't just catch the one instance of him doing the thing that I'd like him to do, right? But maybe it's throughout and I just didn't get to see it all.
He had a good game, and I think it was a motivational thing for him. I mean, it's always nice. We've talked about this before. Young guys coming into the league, it is a struggle when you're playing 82 games. At that point in your career, you've played at most maybe 60, which is 22 less, and that's not including playoffs, if the Sharks ever made playoffs, but other teams, when those young guys coming in, it's a lot of hockey. You make a mistake and you have a terrible game, you got to bounce back sometimes the next night, sometimes even less than 24 hours. So it's a grind. It's a lot of mental things. So for him, I think it was good for him to kind of get grounded, go home, see all of his friends, all of his family. He had, what I had the notes in here, he had about 100 family and friends.
That's bonkers.
Because he also went to college there.
Yeah.
So a lot of his college teammates went. A lot of obviously his family, because they're all from around there. So they all probably came into town, made it a big thing. It's, it's very motivational for someone to go into like that. So I think it was a good kind of homecoming for Will Smith, and obviously he had a great game. So, and he also, we'll get to it a little bit, but okay. I do actually have a clip here. Did we get these clips? I don't know if we. Yeah, we did. Okay,
we did.
So there's a clip. This is a clip after the game. It's kind of short, but this is Will Smith on what happened in the third. They asked what happened. Question was what happened in the third period, like kind of like the meltdown, like what do you need to work on? So here's Will Smith in his own words. Oh, wrong
one. They were kind of just all over us, and honestly, I think we were just trying to survive instead of trying to win. So we have to get that out of our system.
Is that the thing? Maybe you guys should learn from this. Maybe take a more aggressive approach in the third period.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean that is like the MO this season. How many of these games have they lost in the third period? They need to hold leads. And again, this is a young team. This will be corrected maybe as soon as next season. Who knows? But it will be corrected. And the Sharks are going to learn how to win. They're already better than they were last year. I think a lot of times they were defeated before the game even begun. So this year they're at least getting leads. They just can't hold them. Next year they'll be getting these leads and be able to hold them and have a big turnaround in the standings. The personnel is going to be changing. I think not as significant as last year because there was a big jump of people leaving last year and the roster this year. But I think next year is still looking hopeful to me. Learning experiences, not just for Will Smith, but for everybody. Celebrini, everybody. I mean, at this point in his career, Celebrini has never lost this many games ever. Think about that.
Yeah.
Every team you've been on, Will Smith too, every team you've been on, your entire life.
Yep.
Starting when you started playing hockey at 5, you were probably dominant. These guys are probably dominant even then. Winning. Maybe having a losing streak every now and then, but still winning trophies, winning tournaments, being MVPs. Now you come to this league in the NHL and you're like, oh my gosh, what are they on, a 6-game losing streak right now, 5-game losing streak? That's never happened to them ever. And it's hard. It's a mental thing. It's really, really difficult to get out of that rut, out of that losing kind of mentality a little bit. And I'm not saying that that's the reasons because they never lost, but they have to learn how to dig their way out of it and be better at the NHL level, which is obviously the best league in the world for hockey.
Yeah.
Rant over. Sorry.
No, that's good. I like it. Fantastic. There was, like you said, a bunch of players. You rattled off the 3 players and the coach, obviously. With I think you said 100 people for Will Smith. There was a lot of other people though.
Yes.
It's not like just 10 people came for the other guys as well. So did you go through and tell them?
So Smith had 100 family and friends. Graf had about 30 family and friends. Thren had about 30. Warsofsky had about another 40 or 50 for him. So that's almost like a whole section in the Bruins arena for Sharks people.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like 200 people right there that you just rattled off. And I swear, when they scored, I heard cheering, which you wouldn't normally hear in Boston.
Not in Boston.
Yeah,
no.
not for the away team.
No.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting that, especially for the Sharks, it's not like it's, a rival team, or a team with some history with
or
them.
a team close that could travel on a car.
Right, right. So to hear, the Sharks score and you hear cheering over the TV, it's just like, what? That's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, really cool that they had that many people that were there. I know the kids that my son played with, they all went to check out BC and BU, and it's not like they were sitting there waiting for him to sign sticks or anything. It was just they wanted to see where Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini played, college hockey.
Think about that. Think about the marketing of having those 2 guys coming out of the NCAA, being Hobie Baker finalists, right? Big things. We saw clips of it last year of them playing, Will Smith especially. Yeah. That is promotion to those kids. Those kids know what BC and BU are, what those schools are. We're out in California, right?
Yeah.
They go to college, they're probably going to be thinking of going there. They might not even play hockey there. They might be done playing hockey by the time they're done with high school. Yeah. But they'll know what those colleges are. That is the great marketing of the NCAA. That's one thing I will give them credit for. I'm not a big fan of the NCAA. As an organization.
Yes.
What they do is great, but I'm not gonna go into that.
So we'll get to the Calder stuff a little bit later on, but I do want to call out a comment here. Kellen Foster, Calder front runner Will Smith, Paul Sunseri. No, that's definitely not my pick for the Calder winner there. Obviously, I'm going with Macklin here all the way. I know Lane Hudson and everybody else, but
a lot earlier, Grandizer said, "Poor Will Smith. He had a 2-point game 2 games ago in the loss, but he still is a far from the top 5 in the Calder race. However, he is number 7 now. He's jumped up on the list.
He's number 7, but how far behind in points?
Doesn't matter.
Because no, it does matter. Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to judge you by your points.
Judging you by your peers, you are the 7th best rookie right now in terms of points. Because we don't have Wolf in the mix.
Yes, correct.
So he's not the goalie. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. What?
Peter St. John, Paul, to be fair, actually praised Will for the play with Nico Sturm. Again, I don't hate the guy. I saying he's got skills. He does. There's a lot of things outside of the skill set that he has that I don't care for, but that's okay.
We do have another clip here.
Yes.
Of Ryan Warsofsky talking about all of the family and friends and kind of like what that does and motivates for all of these guys here. So here's Ryan Warsofsky after the game.
Obviously a lot of emotion that goes into all of it. A lot of family and friends. You get pulled in different directions. So I thought the guys did a really good job, the Will Smiths, Colin Graff and Henry. I'm sure there's some nerves that played into it. But for them to experience that, I think they'll remember for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, we don't come out on the right end of it, but I think it's a combination, a lot of hard work to get here, and they deserve to soak in the moment. And I thought Will had one of his better games of the year. Henry did some solid things moved in the right direction, and some things that we need to do better in some different areas. But Graffer had a really good chance there. You wish he could have put that in there on that power play, but I thought those guys competed.
It would have been nice if Graf scored in front of all his fans. Will Smith got his goal in front of all his family and friends.
Yeah.
Graf or even Henry Thrun. That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, those guys were motivated. Got their family and friends in a, I don't want to say hostile arena because it's not like the Bruins and the Sharks are rivals or anything, but in a arena that is very far from home.
All those times they've clashed 2 times a season.
I mean, maybe with the Joe Thornton trade a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
You have some history, but
Yeah.
not. That was so long ago now.
Right.
Like it's a whole generation of players ago.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think anybody cares about that anymore.
No.
Yeah. Moving on to tonight's game, the Nashville game, which I talked to my brother earlier about something completely unrelated, and I told him, yeah, I'm going to be doing the show in about 30 minutes or so, and he goes, good luck. It's basically what he was saying. Like, yeah, I would not want to be the guy doing that talk, but it is what it is. That's why we're here. We talk about them. So the Sharks, they show up in the first period. They look fantastic in the first period. Now, the idea was, okay, maybe they're going to be tired because they just got done playing this game in Boston, right? So I could see that they come out flat-footed, et cetera, et cetera. That was not the case. In the first period, they came out and absolutely stomped on the Nashville Predators.
Nashville came out flat-footed
Yeah.
in the first period. They looked awful. They were, I'm shocked. If it wasn't so late in the first period, I think they would have pulled UC Saros. I think when they went to the break, I think he had 4 saves on 8 shots. The Sharks did not have many shots. It's not like they were dominating the play and they didn't have a chance. Their shots were just going in. Mm-hmm. They had good quality chances and they were burying them. But it was exciting and scary at the same time when I'm watching this because I'm like, oh, it's exciting. There's like Celebrini just snipes. Just the first goal was just amazing. That is a goal scorer's goal in the league. He belongs. He's elite. This is great. Let's bump him up on the Calder watch list. I'm excited. And then the Sharks score again. I think it was Cunnin scored the second one, I believe. And then Granlund scores against his old team.
Yes.
And then Wallman scores on a
Fantastic.
backhand, I think it was, like coming across and just jukes the goalie. For a defenseman, that was a pretty good move.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Well, I mean, for a defenseman, it's Wallman, though,
Wow,
right?
right.
Wallman, it ain't Vlasic out there, right?
Right.
So, yeah, he's got good hands. Fantastic.
And then I think at that point it was 4-1 going into the second period. So I'm like, all right, feeling good, feeling great. And then I turn on the game, and it was already a couple minutes into the second period. I'm like,
Oh, no.
Here we go. Here it comes. Here comes the avalanche. And then they get into the third period, and I'm like, no, this is it. You could tell they were holding on by a thread. And before the puck was even dropped, and they scored 23 seconds in.
20. I want to say 28.
Yeah,
it was 28 seconds. Yeah. Brutal, absolutely brutal, because you built up such a huge lead, and that's the MO on this team is they do not know how to close a game. They do not know how to play with a lead. They don't know how to step on the throat. They know how to fight when they're down.
Right.
They know how to do that. They know how to try. I mean, even in this game, at the very end, they were down a goal, and they played some of their best hockey in the past 40 minutes, right? And they just kept pressing. Mm-hmm. They got their chances. They started putting pucks on net. The shot counter started moving up again because it was just absolutely brutal.
It was 8-1 in the third period. At the beginning. It was just terrible.
It was atrocious. But again, third period, once they were down again, all of a sudden they came back to life. And I wish they would stop doing that and just play that way. Not necessarily full 60 minutes. That's hard to do. But just play that way even when you have a lead.
Know your moments in the game that you need to do that. That's where the maturity comes.
Yeah.
You need to know when the other team is on the ropes and bury them. Not, okay, we'll just hold on and try and play some hockey and waste some time here. You need to bury teams. And in this league, we've seen the Sharks lose. Tonight was a 4-goal lead. I think that's the second or third time they've had a 4-goal lead and they've lost it, which is just absurd. But that's just the league that they're playing in right now. And you have Forgiev in goal. So you can't...
Yes.
You don't have Askarov back there, so you need to play better defensively, play out less off your heels, be more aggressive, and they just have not been doing that. We could play the same clip from Will Smith from the previous game of what he just said. We need to learn how to close out games.
Yep.
We need to stay on the gas. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as fans because we can see glimpses of greatness.
Yeah.
They were up 4-1. They were up 5-1.
Yes.
Right? In this game. That is awesome. Now we need to change the feeling of when they're up 5-1. Every Sharks fan going, okay, waiting for the other shoe to fall off here. Like, what's going to happen? How are they going to lose it tonight? And that's exactly what happened.
Ben's got a bunch of good comments, and unfortunately some of them went off the screen here. But this one here, to be fair, we haven't been playing with a lead that much in recent years, so it's understandable we don't know how to play with leads. I would agree. However, remember that guys that are coming in, like Celebrini, like Smith, have been doing a lot of winning in their respective leagues. I'm not saying that the NHL is anywhere near the caliber of NC2A, but again, the idea that they had leads in that league, they should know how to continue to press. And in this league, again, whether it's an effort thing, you need to know how to continue how to press. And I don't know what happened with them. And it's not just on the two young guys, right? But it's the whole team.
Right.
And it's just, maybe it's just feeling like, hey, we got these guys. Sweet. You know? And they just think that they can take their foot off the gas, or I don't know what. But, again, this team, that's the biggest thing this season that's been killing them. We saw stats from earlier in the season talking about this is like the worst team to go into the third period with a lead. Right?
I want to say,
because they're going to lose it.
Was it last week we ran that stat of 20 games that they've lost?
Yeah, that one was last week.
Yeah, that's just absurd. Yeah. And they just built on that this week. It's just, they're setting records and not the records that you want to set.
Yeah. I'm also seeing, like I said, there's some Ben and Gunsry magic in the chat tonight. Yeah. There's a lot of Paul's bingo card talking about there goes the I don't hate the guy thing. Check that one off. You guys are hilarious. I love you guys.
We're going to create a real bingo
I think
card.
so, yeah. It'd be good. I think there's a lot of fantastic. If you have that's the center one. I always say fantastic, and I catch myself when I'm listening on the podcast. Market correction. When we got ideas. Him hitting the bell for sure.
Bingo cards, and we just send them out to everybody.
I love
download them, and then
we just stunk.
There you go. Every time he plays, we just stunk. I love it. Great idea, guys. Well done. Great idea. I bet you didn't have this on your bingo card. The penalty on Will Smith. I need to talk about this a little bit.
All right.
It was an absolute trash penalty. Trash penalty, and I don't mean. Brace yourselves. You might want to sit down because the second one's coming. I don't mean that it was a penalty that Will Smith took that was a bad penalty, like a tripping or a hooking.
Right.
Like a lazy penalty.
Not a penalty you're saying he should be benched for.
I'm saying yes, right, exactly, which he's had before. I'm saying the referee got this wrong.
I don't think the reffing was great tonight.
It was not very good tonight. Yeah. But, we're not even going to go there.
No.
It's okay. Okay? Will Smith finally did what I wanted to see him do. It had nothing to do with scoring a goal. It had nothing to do with an assist. It had nothing to do with a beautiful pass. It had nothing to do with any of the things I already know he can do well. It had everything to do with the things that I know he needs work on. And this was one of them. Skates right in, cuts the guy off, puts him in the wall. Finally puts him in the wall. Mm-hmm. Gets his shoulder right in front of the player, puts his shoulder right where the logo is, and he skates his body in between, so the puck is here, the body is here. Mm-hmm. Predator clamps down on his arm, makes it look like he's holding him, falls down, and he gets a penalty. Absolute trash penalty, okay? This is the type of thing I wish could be reviewed, and I know it would slow the game down, but my God, I wish they could go, wait a minute, let's take a look at that. Oh, you clamped your arm down? Double minor, right? Get that stuff out of the game. Anyway.
That could be something the NHL looks at later, right? And, Brekar. Thank you, Brekar, for becoming a member.
He figured it out, too. Everybody's got to figure it out. Brekar, thank you so much for becoming a member. Do appreciate you doing that. We'll have lots of other perks and stuff that we're going to figure out more about what the membership entails down the road here. But I think that's a few now we've had. I think who else was trying to get in there and couldn't at the time?
That was last week. I don't even know if they're here today.
Okay,
but anyway, what I was going to say, that is something similar to diving. What the NHL could do is retroactively, what they do for diving, send a warning letter saying, we caught you diving, the next one will be a fine.
Right.
They don't announce it so nobody knows, but they do announce when you get a fine, which means they've already been warned before. I think there could be something similar like that where diving, it's kind of diving in a way because you're grabbing the guy and falling and creating a penalty that shouldn't be one. I think that should be something that's retroactive, which I think it actually is. So they might be getting a letter later. And also, I think they should grade referees after games.
Yeah.
Like, this crew, you missed some calls. We're going to give you kind of a bad grade. You need to work on this stuff. Stuff for the referees to work on and become better. Not just dump on them and say they're trash and they shouldn't be in this league. That's not constructive. That's not helpful. So do something with a grading system. And the other thing on referees, and I'm not going to say this is a good or a bad idea. The NBA makes the referees available for post-game interviews after each game. So it puts them more in the spotlight, more accountability to answer questions from the press. From the press, not from fans that are yelling at you like, oh, that was a bum call, kind of like that.
But the fans don't interview anybody after a game.
No,
so
I know, but you know what I mean. Like,
they're
they're not going after the game on the microphone in front of all the fans. This is like post-game, talking with the media and stuff. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Sure.
Because they can explain what they saw and break it down versus just leaving and you're gone and there's no accountability, no answer or anything. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Very good.
Thanks.
So, I mean, I thought it was... You said you're not going to say trash because it's not constructive. I'm saying this was a trash penalty. Maybe they're good human beings, but in this case they missed it. I thought
one thing I didn't like is how long that review took for the puck that went over the glass.
Yeah,
I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
they went to commercial break and came back and still took another minute or two. So they had a full 3 or 4 minutes looking at this thing and they still couldn't figure it out. And then they overturned it because they said it hit the glass. I think you get 60 seconds. If you can't overturn a call in 60 seconds, the call that on the ice stands. Just keep it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I know that would have been a turning point because it was already a penalty called, so it's 2 minutes. Had they lost it, that would have been a 4-minute double minor, basically.
Yeah.
Or 2 different penalties, but 2 minutes. I don't know how they would do that. Would
it's
they make it a double minor?
No, it's a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's even worse.
And then they both jump out of the box at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand it was kind of a big deal, but it is a Sharks Nashville game, 2 teams in the bottom 5 of the league. I
was going to say, maybe after they get their grades, that's what it means. If you have a low grade, you have to have the trash teams that nobody really cares where they are in the standings, right? Yeah. Maybe that's how they should do it. I don't know.
Then the lower team's getting trash referees every game. That would be awful.
Step your game up, trash teams.
There you go. There's the motivation to be better in the standings.
I got it all figured out, guys. I'm seriously. Come on now.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know what else there was to say about this one. Just, I wanted to say that one thing about Smith. Again, I hope you guys were sitting because I had something good to say. But it was the first time legitimately that I've seen him actually be physical and aggressive, trying to strip the puck from somebody. I've seen him try to skate by somebody. It was like the saddest thing I think I've ever seen, and I can't remember which game it was in, but it was on a power play. The puck gets dumped back into our zone, and the PKer skates up the boards, picks up the puck, and is skating into our zone up the boards, and he literally put his hand on the guy's back or his shoulder and put his stick like this and was just gliding with him. I'm like, no, that's not how we play the game. You got to move your feet and put him into the wall. I understand if you're a skilled player, but again, physicality is part of the game, dude. So from going from that to actually hitting the guy, again, he got a penalty, but it's not deserved. And actually, I'll even say this. In the game afterwards, he forechecked behind the net and slammed a guy into the wall. Like, it's those are the types of things you have to do. Again, I'm not asking him to be a thug, but those are the types of things that you have to do as a skilled player. You still have to get in there and be physical. And Macklin, again, he's the guy that does that.
Yeah.
Eklund, he's the guy that does that. Anybody on this team whose last name ends in or whatever, they all do this stuff, and they're skilled players, but you have to be physical.
I will say Eklund took some time to learn how to do it. He didn't do it right off the bat. He wasn't doing it like he is now. It took him some time to kind of perfect what he's doing. Will Smith has been playing center pretty much his entire life. He's now playing on the wing, and he's even said he's having a hard time getting the puck off of the boards, they call it the little yellow strip, right? He's learning how to do it at the NHL level because he's done it at other levels, but not the NHL level, which is very different, very much quicker and faster, right? So he is slowly getting better and slowly getting those things, and he's adding tools to his game just like you're saying, of the forecheck, and also putting the body into the boards and taking the body positioning over him. I think he's improving.
I think
his game is getting better.
What I didn't care for at all, though, is that it took him 42 games to get there. I would like to see him, again, for me, it's not an effectiveness, it's an effort, right? So I'm not going to launch into this again, but that was the reason why I was like, at game 42, and I'm finally seeing it. It's good that I'm finally seeing it, but oh my God, right? So anyway, and he says Eklund had that shoulder injury, which probably prevented him from jumping.
Yeah, but he had to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing it at the NHL level. Plus, he had to bulk up because, again, he hurt his shoulder because he was so small. I forgot how much weight he gained from his first to now. I want to say it's at least 20 pounds or something because he was really small. I want to say he was in the 160 range when he hit camp as a rookie. So he was very fragile and very tiny.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Ben. He said, I'd rather have the kids add another 10 to 15 pounds of muscle before getting physical. It doesn't matter how many pounds you have. If you're in the NHL, you better get physical. That's just all there is to it. And I got news for you. It's the same exact thing. I bring this back to my kids all the time. Same exact thing I tell my son. Whether or not you enjoy the physicality, it's coming to you. So, I mean, you can shy away from dishing it out, but that's not going to prevent you from getting it.
It's preventative as much as it is aggressiveness.
You're going to get hit. You're going to get bullied off of pucks. And if you don't learn to do it back, you don't belong here yet. So I'm happy to see that he at least did that. What'd Kellen say?
Kellen, when Eklund got to the league, he was 15 pounds lighter. In and out did his body good.
Fantastic.
I don't want to hear about freaking fragile, okay?
Nice stuff. I love it. Yeah, the other thing I want to say about this game is the Nashville fans are brutal.
Yeah.
Now, we actually said we wanted to see Askarov in this game, which I would love to have Askarov had a shot. Well, we'll just never know, really, except for, Thursday. But having Askarov in this game instead would have been nice. Just to see how he would have done, again, against the Nashville fans. But I think this is why they didn't play Askarov. I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yeah.
I think this is the reason why Askarov didn't play in this game is because the Nashville fans are so brutal. And for him to have this emotional type of game where he wanted out, right, and the fans probably don't like him for wanting to leave. If anything bad happens, they're going to be screaming down. If you don't know, if Nashville scores and they're in their home rink, the fans will chant the goalie's name 2-3 times, whatever it is, and then they'll yell, "You suck, all your fault, all your fault." It's brutal. Yeah. So I can imagine that was maybe, not entirely, but maybe a small part of the reason that they would hold him out of that game in particular.
He was also still sick. He was sick when he played in Boston yesterday. I was actually surprised they played him in Boston. I thought they were going to hold him out for one more.
And that's what I mean.
He was sick and play in Nashville.
That's what I mean. I would have thought that they would have played Askarov. They would have flipped him, right? And changing the goalie rotation up throughout the week so that it does work out that way. But in any case, like I said, on Thursday he'll get the opportunity if Vanacek doesn't jump back in.
Either that, or for some reason they go back to Georgiev. But I don't know why you would.
He just got 6 put on him.
Yeah,
I think
he needs some spear work. That's
he needs a break. Yeah, this is one of those games. We talked about games earlier in the week where they lose, but he played well.
I thought he was getting better. I thought.
Sure.
He seemed to be more settled down and kind of honing in on some of the mistakes that he had been making. But tonight, I feel like he let in at least 2 that he knew he needed to get back. Especially one of them, and at key moments too. One was the go-ahead, I think it was, right? That just snuck through him, that he should have stopped.
Yeah.
That's mental, and that is his confidence is just shot.
Well, when it's raining down, you suck, right? I mean,
beat off walls.
when you get beat off walls, Aaron.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think that's that big of a deal.
Oh, it's dude. 6 times they yelled at it. 6 times. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, if
your mental toughness takes a hit.
If you can't get through that, then you shouldn't be in the NHL.
Nah, 1 or 2 times that's okay. 6 times that gets under your skin.
Yeah,
6 times they're screaming you.
I don't think the screaming isn't what's getting under your skin. It's the 6 goals that are getting under your skin.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, Peter St. John says that cannot be fun for Askarov to have to suit up and warm up when you're backing up, and all you want to do is take a hot bath and go to bed. There you go.
Yep.
So I had this very unrealistic, very optimistic. It's looking pretty bad right now, but that's okay. Just take that the way that the Sharks had played up until a point in the season, which I think was 2 episodes ago, or whatever. I had said they could very well
since New Year's
do well
since
enough.
New Year's was
I think it was. So they could very well do well enough to play 500 hockey between now and the trade deadline. And at the time, I had, again, a 2-game head start, because when I said that, the Sharks had a 2-game win streak. It's easy for me to jump out to that lead, right? Then they had 3 losses on the 1 week, and it was 2 wins, 3 losses. And then, again, the first win of this one, I was on 3-3. That's 500. And then they lose 4 more. So, yeah, it was just all bad. I'm batting, 300 now. So the Sharks went 3-7 since I made that, again, unrealistic and overly optimistic prediction
sport.
There. What's that?
It's a great in another
Yeah,
sport.
It's fantastic if you're at bat.
It's Hall of Fame career right there.
It's not very good if that's your record as a team, unfortunately. So that's where I am. And I think maybe we'll just kind of keep updating this stat as the week goes on, just to see how far off that thought process was.
It's pretty far.
But it's pretty far off.
I mean, it doesn't help that they've had some injuries and illness hitting them too now. Like the flu bug is passing through the team.
Forget that. Trip. Hey, whoever's out is out. They were up 5-1.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who was out. They were up 5-1.
I was just talking about this game. I meant the week.
Fair
like
enough.
the week of games. It's just they keep getting hit left and right with injuries and sickness. Your boy was out. Nico Sturm was out tonight. Late scratch, and everyone was like, "Oh, is he getting traded?"
No, he's not.
No, apparently he got hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in the warm-up or if it was in the game.
I have this as a note for later on, but I'm just going to say it now.
All right.
Nico Sturm is that he had said it was a quote. I think he was doing an interview, post-game interview kind of thing or something, and he said, if there's no contract extension, then that's just the reality of it in the NHL. And the thing that got me was, okay, it's the reality of it in the NHL. That doesn't really give you anything in terms of where his mindset's at. But if there's no contract extension, that implies that maybe he's looking for a contract extension. He wouldn't say no to one. So that, for me, is fairly promising, because I love the guy and I love his work ethic and I love his leadership ability. And it's just a shame that he will never be a captain in this league, because he's going to bounce from one team to the next. Not because he's bad, but because he's a valuable fourth liner and a guy that you would want if you're a cup contending team to help solidify your fourth line, or your third line even. He can do both.
I think he deserves a letter. I don't think the captaincy, but I think definitely an A.
He's captain of my heart.
I do think he is a potential coach once he retires. I think he's going to get into hockey and be a coaching staff, because his mind is his hockey mind is just is so high. His hockey IQ is just so high. So I could totally see him coaching and being a good coach. Maybe eventually being the replacement of Nico Sturm for Team Germany down the road.
Marco.
Yeah. I keep thinking, switch him.
I know it.
Oh, I can
Nico will be Marco's replacement down the road. I don't know for sure, but I don't know who else would be out there.
That I think is a more likely prediction than the Sharks going 500 at this point.
Absolutely.
All right, then. I guess we'll go ahead and move on from that one. This week, I just wanted to take a look at the players that were kind of leading in points in these 5 games that are across the 5 games of this week. Not all of them played all 5 games, as you pointed out earlier. But Celebrini and Macklin leading the way, both with 5 points, both with 1 goal and 4 assists. And they're averaging a point per game over that span. So on a week where everything kind of went downhill, for them to be at a point per game, fantastic. And it's again, they're on the same line, so it just kind of shows the chemistry between the two of them. Very happy again to see them playing together, and very happy that it's working with the two of them. So fantastic on those 2 players there. And then Granlund and Smith actually with 4 points. 3 of those points for Granlund were goals, though, and he actually leads the team over that span in terms of goals scored. Not far behind, Tyler Toffoli picked up 4 points as well, 2 of which were goals, 2 assists. The funny thing about Toffoli, though, is that he's at 2 points per game because he only played the 2 games.
Yeah.
So fantastic, right? I mean, what else can you say about this guy, Toffoli? Like we had said beforehand, if not Macklin Celebrini, it's going to be Toffoli leading this team. Now, he's been out with injuries here and there, and again, some bad luck. He's been in the right spots, and he just kind of either hits the logo or sends it wide sometimes. but he's a fantastic goal scorer. And again, over this week, 4 points in 2 games. I mean, he stood out. Now, a lot of that has to do with him playing alongside the other 2 70s that are on that line, generating a lot of offense and a lot of creativity, and then just finding the guy who's just a fantastic shooter. But regardless, it's just a great showing for Tyler Toffoli this week.
Yeah, you miss him in the lineup. When he's not in there, it's noticeable because he is a good goal scorer, obviously, but he plays the game very well and off the puck kind of stuff. So he knows his stuff, and it's definitely missing when he's not in the lineup. It's noticeable. So I think he gives a little bit more stability, more veteran presence. Obviously helps the team score when he's scoring and not missing the net. But he's definitely the best goal scorer, I think, on the Sharks currently. So kind of sucks having him out of the lineup.
Yeah. Whether it's Toffoli or Georgiev or anybody else, you're not going to be running 100% of the time. So you're going to have your dips here and there, which is fine. The idea is to mitigate those as much as humanly possible. And if everybody can do that, well, then you got one hell of a team. Okay, we're going to go on to the roll call here, Aaron. So you want to go ahead and fire away on the roll call?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Tell us what city you are watching from, and does the losing streak end this Thursday? Also, if you're listening on the podcast or watching us later, not during the live, you can also answer that question in the comments, because we like to see where everyone from around the world is watching us, which is kind of cool to see. Do they end it on Thursday? What I really like the home and home, these games, because they did it with Seattle earlier in the season. We talked about how I loved how awesome it is because stuff carries over. The Sharks are going to go into that game knowing that, hey, we took it to Nashville in that first period. We could do this at home, and we can do it and finish out. And they're going to have, most likely, Askarov in net. So some little nastiness carries over from the game before. It's almost like a mini playoff. Yeah. And it's going to make for a very good game. Thursday nights and Saturday nights in the tank usually get sold out or pretty close to it. So I think there'll be a good crowd in San Jose on Thursday night. I think it's also, what is Thursday night? I got to look. There's First Responders Night is Thursday night for Nashville. We'll get into that in a little bit. But that is something else. So I think they've already sold a lot of tickets for that game. So I think both of you predicted a win versus Nashville. Oh, yeah.
We thought that Askarov was going to be starting that game.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's not like we were far off. They were quite a bit ahead. They just didn't hold on.
I was feeling good about it. I was feeling good because it was going to be a Detroit win and a Nashville win, bookending the week. Would have been a great show. Everyone would have been excited to talk tonight, and we're talking about a monumental collapse instead. What do you think? Do you think they're going to win on Thursday?
I'm going to say that they are going to win on Thursday again, because you look at the Boston game and the juice that you said Will Smith had one of his better games. I'm taking your word for it. Mm-hmm. Will Smith stepping up, playing in Boston. I think the same can be said for Askarov. Now, he's not in Nashville, but I think it's still being against his old team. I think they're going to start him, and I think, like you said, there's going to be some bad blood there, and I think that the Sharks are going to come right back at him. Maybe not come out to a 4-goal lead, okay? But I think they're going to come right back at him knowing that, hey, when we start off well against these guys, they faltered, right? We scored on them, and we took our foot off the gas. We just need to make sure that we don't take our foot off the gas this time around. We learned our lesson against the exact same team just 2 nights before. It's not like this is something that is over the season. We have to learn this big... No, it happened 2 nights ago against the same team.
Do you think Nashville's going to start UC Saros? Because they rested him. Basically, they pulled him. But he let in 4 goals on 8 shots.
That's I have no clue. I mean, if the situations were reversed, I don't know what you would do there. Yeah, right. I have no clue.
Anyway, just a couple shout-outs real quick. We have some international. Marseille, France.
Whoa.
That's Ludovic Sanchez. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay.
And Ben and Gunsry is actually in Sapporo, Japan today. So, hello. I think, Ben, I forget where you are normally, but it's not usually Japan, so that's pretty cool.
Is he LA? Ben?
What? Ben? No, I think he's usually
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Someone else is LA. I'm thinking of somebody else. Anyway. Wow, it's awesome. International show. I did not realize that we were that far out.
Yep.
It's cool.
So we talked about Nico Sturm. Next up, Simon Nemec. in New Jersey.
Oh, yes. So he's unhappy in New Jersey. I guess he's...
You know why?
He's stuck in the AHL?
They sent him back down.
Yeah.
They keep sending him back down.
And he says enough is enough.
He's ready, and he's actually, I want to say he's a second overall pick from his draft class. And he gave a interview in his home country, which is he Czech Republic?
Probably.
I think he's Czech.
Name like that.
Probably. And basically said, like, if a trade happens, it happens or something. He mentioned the word trade, which everyone freaked out about. They're like, he wants to get traded, and everyone's freaking out about it. But I'm sure New Jersey's like, hey, calm down. We're figuring it out here. But I bet they're getting a lot of phone calls to talk. What do they get?
Goaltending?
Sharks are lacking
Yeah.
a right-handed shot, puck-moving defenseman. Here's one that's very young, right in the core, who used to work in New Jersey, who knows the people in New Jersey, who deals with the people in New Jersey all the time, knows their prospects very well, along with the Rangers. But could it happen? Absolutely. But what's the asking price? What would you be comfortable with? Because I'm sure it's going to be a first-round pick and or a prospect, like a high-end one, like Quentin Musty.
No. I do not give
I'm
up
just saying. The asking price, if you're in New Jersey Devils, who would you want for Nemec?
I honestly, I don't know, because I don't know what New Jersey wants. I don't know what they want in return. And again, we go back to what Doug Wilson had said, right? It's not about trying to get one over and just get the thing that you want. It's about making something that works for everybody. So I have no idea what New Jersey would want necessarily. Do you happen to know what they would want? Because then we can kind of spitball on what it might look like.
No, this is the Sharks show, not a New Jersey Devils show.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Okay. In any case, it's just interesting that that guy is, I don't want to say available, right? But that he's in talks right now saying, I don't really like the situation that I'm in. If a trade, to use the word trade, again, people kind of flipped out about that one. Yep. Rightfully so, right? If it's a guy that was picked second overall, the last thing you want to hear from him is talking about trades. So, I don't know. I think that it's just an interesting thing. Again, it fulfills a Shark need, right? And it's a guy that wouldn't necessarily get buried in the AHL, although, again, Askarov understands, or understood. He's since been brought back up, right? But he understood, look, I may have to play in the AHL a little bit longer before I get my shot, but at least I see a path. If Nemec can see the same thing, hey, even if I have to play in the AHL a little bit for the Barracuda, at least I see a path, right? Because the Sharks have guys that they can unload at the trade deadline, and he immediately gets to come back up. So I think it's one of those situations where a team that is as bad as the Sharks can be very enticing for a player that is looking for his way into the NHL.
Maybe they wait until after the draft to see who falls to them or who they can get if they don't get the first overall pick, kind of thing.
Sure.
Maybe they go, okay, now we could go for a right-handed shot defenseman. Maybe they trade at the draft.
Yeah.
Maybe they're third overall. And the Sharks are kind of like, maybe we don't want this pick. We'll trade it for Nemec. Nemec? I don't even know how to say his name. Nemec?
I'm going to say Nemec.
Nemec.
I don't know.
Trade it for Nemec so that it's not Musty and a first-round pick. You're going to get a third overall pick while we get your former second overall pick who is NHL ready.
Okay, I didn't want to have to go here.
It's hard.
But I'm going to shift gears just a bit off of this because you brought Musty up a couple of times, and I'm getting angry.
I love Musty. Okay. He is my favorite prospect. I can't stop talking about this guy, so don't you dare.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say about Musty. And again, people are going to be upset. Fine, be upset. I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Say he's stinky.
I don't care anymore, okay? I would rather at this point have seen Musty play in the NHL than Will Smith play in the NHL.
No, jeez. Why?
No. Hear me out.
I think he was worse than Will Smith.
Hear me out, okay? Because the things that we're talking about, Will's got things to work on in the NHL, and you're saying, well, this is just a blown season anyway. We'll let him work on it up here, which I think is, for me, that's totally wrong, but that's fine. Your opinion, I respect that. Okay, Musty if he needed to work on the defensive side of the game, and the idea is who cares for this season, well, then he could have worked on his defensive game. But when it comes to everything else, the guy is offensively talented. He shoots, he scores. He gets in front of the net, into the dirty areas. He hits. He hustles. This kid moves. He does a lot of things that translate well to the NHL already. And if the only thing he really needed to work on was his defensive game, and the idea is, whatever, we're going to lose anyway, then I think he would have translated just a little bit better. That's all. Again, this wasn't me trying to trash on Smith. I'm just saying I'm pumping up Musty here. So if you're telling me that you would trade Nemec or whatever his name is, we'll learn it when he becomes a Shark. If you're telling me that you would trade Musty for him, I don't think so. And Brykar agrees with me.
It's not what I'm saying I want them to do.
Okay, fire away.
I'm saying that's probably what the price would be if they wanted to get him.
Yes, and I would say no.
Right. I also would say no.
I would like to see if we could get that trade done in any other fashion, and then when it comes to the draft, take that third overall or whatever it is and say, you know what, we don't need that defenseman that we were going to pick at this spot because we have him. Let's move that down to like the sixth overall pick or seventh overall pick. Get a little bit extra, and then get who?
Sorry.
Then get who with the seventh overall pick with Eklund, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, I got it all figured out, guys.
Ludovic Sanchez has an interesting idea here. I don't know if you know who Schaefer is.
No.
He's a defenseman.
Yes. Sorry.
Defenseman,
Yes.
Probably the first overall
I thought you
pick.
meant Schaefer in the chat.
No. Pick him and then trade Dickinson for Nemec so that you have a right and left stud. Two stud defensemen. Yeah. Dickinson's also a stud, but he's a left-handed shot.
Yeah.
So if you have a stud they're comparing him to Drew Doughty in LA. That type of player.
Okay.
A dominant, but he's left-handed, not right-handed.
Yeah.
A dominant left-handed defenseman that will take over the game. That's where this guy's projected right now to go. So you pick him, you trade Dickinson, who is also going to be a pretty good defenseman, not that caliber, but up there for Nemec, so that you have your right-handed shot defenseman. And I would do it in NHL 25, whatever, GM mode, but.
I've only seen a very small bit of Sam Dickinson, but from what I have seen, it's the personality that's got me sold more than the skill level.
His stock has been rising this season. He's been playing so well.
But he's just, I love the interviews and stuff that I've seen of him. He just seems like just such a great locker room presence, and there's something to be said for that. And the fact that he was picked as high as he was means he still has a very high skill level. Right? So it's not like he's a dud, but he's a good guy in the locker room, but he can't play hockey. No, he can still play hockey. So I would be hesitant on that just because I don't know enough about him, but I like him.
Would you trade Smith for Nemec?
Not heads up, no.
No? Not one for
heads
one?
up, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Why?
No.
Because they put it in there?
That was a comment. That was
okay.
Brykar asked.
Brykar asked it?
Yeah.
Okay. Brykar, I thought we were friends, Brykar. What happened? What happened, man?
Put Paul on the spot, and he takes Will Smith. Just remember that.
No. It's not that I take Will Smith. I wouldn't necessarily do it. Just I'd have to see a little bit more about Nemec first. That's all. So there you go. Anyway, okay. What else? What are we talking about here? Fire sale in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
It sounds like what is it? Dubas, right?
Kyle Dubas is I don't think he's the GM. He's the president. I believe.
Apparently, he made it known that he is everybody's for sale.
Pittsburgh is a disaster, and it's because of his fault. I don't know if you knew this.
Yeah.
I sent you that article from...
I didn't read it.
Of course you didn't. Paul doesn't know how to read. It was an article from was it? It wasn't.
I can't lie. It was a lot last month.
I don't stumble my words. I just can't read, buddy. Come on. All right, go ahead. Fire away.
I'm blanking on his name now. It's from TSN, but I think it's Bob.
Costas.
No.
Barker.
No, forget it. Anyway. They laid out the disaster of what Pittsburgh was.
Yeah.
And Kyle Dubas' timeline of him being there and how awful every trade was. Carlson being one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And how bad that was and how much it's messed up Pittsburgh and their cap management and the team is garbage. So this fire sale is not a surprise because they are in a very, very bad spot. I don't think they would ever deal Crosby at this point. I think they just let him play out and finish his career in Pittsburgh?
I don't know that he wants to. I think he's probably like the Shane Doan of the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, I don't care if it's a sinking ship. This is my home, and I'm staying.
It's not like Ray Bourque in Boston forever, and he's never won a cup and wants to win a cup. He's won a couple cups.
No,
so
exactly.
It's less so where he's like, I'll just retire.
That's what I'm saying, though. There's no reason really for him to say, you know what, I have to go on. It's not, again, like Joe Thornton, right? Joe Thornton was searching for a cup when he was going from one team to the next.
Bob McKenzie. Thank you, Alex.
There you go.
I could not think. It's late, and I'm tired.
Because the next Bob I was going to say was Bobrovsky, and you didn't need me screaming that in your ear, so fire away.
Anyway, what were we just talking about?
Fire sale in
Shang,
Pittsburgh.
if I knew that answer, then I wouldn't have started off better.
Falling off the rails.
Can we just real quick, just in the chat, just some love for super producer Jason. That was fantastic. Well done, buddy. The timing is just beautiful. Love it. Okay, anyway.
I don't even know if anyone on Pittsburgh would fit. It's not like the Sharks can go poach a bunch of people or anything. They're going to want what the Sharks have, which is young prospects and picks and stuff. So there's no reason the Sharks would want to do anything. The only thing I could see is the Sharks maybe taking on a bad contract for something, but I don't know why they would even need to do that either. So I don't see the Sharks doing anything with Pittsburgh.
They're not going to need to take on a bad contract from Pittsburgh because that would mean Pittsburgh is being competitive and trying to make space to be more competitive for their playoff push, but they're not there. So it doesn't make any sense for them to need to offload a bad contract right now, at least. So I don't see that happening either. But it would have been nice to see, hey, you know, since everyone's for sale, what all do you have, and what might we be willing to give? And you're flipping through Puckpedia right now, and you have a smile on your face. So what?
Would you take Chris Letang, a right-handed shot defenseman, at 37, just to help transition those younger guys?
No.
And have a puck-moving defenseman in the back end?
No, I would not.
Okay. Just wondering. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, how about this? What if they retained on Erik Karlsson and sent him back, and then he cost us less?
I was going to say that. We're still paying him anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
What if you paid him $7 million a year instead of 11? You telling me you wouldn't take him back?
Not worth it. Not worth it. Would you trade for Crosby or Malkin?
See, now that one, here's the funny...
I would do Malkin over Crosby.
I would do Crosby. And here's why.
Celebrini.
Yes.
For his mentorship.
Just
basically.
for the 5-month or whatever it is mentorship.
Can you imagine those two? Like
gross.
very similar type players.
Gross.
One at the end of their career and one at the beginning and playing together. Almost like Lemieux coming back to play with Crosby and teaching him things.
That would be just amazing. It won't happen. And it certainly wouldn't make us a team that's going to be all of a sudden cup contention worthy. But again, for that experience of being able to have him by your side for the rest of the season, similar in their skill sets. He has been compared to Crosby, right? I think that's not a bad move at all if you just bring him in for the experience. He's not going to want to do that. No. The only reason here's the thing. The only reason he would accept that trade is because something goes back to Pittsburgh, and when he retires, he's going back to Pittsburgh. He'll probably end up being in the office at some point in Pittsburgh. He'll probably be doing development somewhere in Pittsburgh, right? So if he can help them out in any way, shape, or form for their future, then it makes sense for him to say, you know what, I would accept that. But I don't think the Sharks want to give up any futures for Macklin's own benefit necessarily. So
the Pittsburgh Penguins have Chris Letang.
Yes.
Erik Karlsson.
Yes.
Sidney Crosby. Evgeny Malkin.
Yep.
And Brian Rust. All with not just a no trade clause, a no movement clause. Cannot be traded, sent to minors, or waived like Barclay Gaudreau got waived without player approval. They're stuck in Pittsburgh. Unless, of course, they waive it. But they have to waive it, and they have to be asked to. Yeah. But they have a lot of control. Brian Rust surprises me that he has that in his clause. That means he has a very good agent to be able to negotiate that. Or Kyle Dubas is just really... I don't even know if he actually did that contract. But that's just brutal. That's brutal as a GM standpoint. I don't know why GMs like to paint themselves in these corners and then go, I can't do anything. And then they get fired and they have to bring in somebody else to clean up their mess. And they can't because of all these terrible terrible offers.
You just watch your mouth there. They can, okay? They can. They just have to be an ugly bobble.
Get criticized for it. For making all these moves and selling cheap and low and...
Sorry, I just had to do this.
Don't break it.
It's not breaking it. It's fine.
Springs and they go.
Anyway, I'm just glad that we have a GM that is more than capable of doing that task. And I've been very happy with what he's done with the team so far.
Do you think the Sharks are going to get Noah Gregor?
Was that a comment? Did one of you put that in the chat?
It's my burner account.
That was a joke.
No.
You don't need to answer that.
Noah Gregor would actually be like one of the guys that Greer probably really likes.
Ben did say, speaking of mess, that's why Greer deserves a lot of credit, which I feel like we do this every show. We give him a lot of credit. I think he has been doing an amazing job. I'm very excited for this summer, not just for the draft, but for the free agents, because there's so many high-end free agents that are out there and not a lot of teams that will have a lot of cap space. Yeah. The cap is going up even more, and we have an owner, the Sharks have an owner that has no problem spending to the cap. They aren't doing it now, but he has no problem opening up his checkbook, which is very fortunate if you think about it. There's a lot of owners, think of the former Oakland A's, Jeff Fisher, who won't open his pocketbook for anything, who also owns the Earthquakes, and he won't open his pocket for anything. Sell the team, Jeff Fisher. Anyway, we're very lucky that the Sharks have a very generous and free-willing spending owner in the league. Not a lot of teams have that.
And I wish it's the same way that with the Calder, that they don't just look at points. I'm hoping that they look at a more holistic view of what constitutes the best rookie, not just how many points did they get, right? And in that same vein, I hope that this whole GM of the Year thing is opened up to somebody who has done a fantastic job of managing the contracts that he's had. Now, I think he did a better job last season, right? Because he had a lot more to do, and he took care of a lot more business. But even this season, the moves that he's made, the guys that he's brought in, has been absolutely fantastic. And if that doesn't help qualify you for GM of the Year, I don't know what does. Just putting together a winning team, it's more than that to me. It's how much work did you have to do to get from situation A to situation B, regardless of what that is. And I think Mike Grier has just done an outstanding job of taking a team that was old and broken and expensive and completely turning that on its head. And I know we're in last place or second to last right now. I haven't checked the standings as of today. Last, there you go. So I know that they're in last, but I mean, this is such a better situation than it was a year ago or 2 years ago. So, absolutely. I hope that that's part of the consideration when it comes to the whole GM of the Year, because the man deserves it. Absolutely does.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Yes. Get on with it.
So we're going to get on with it. Moving on to...
Get on with it!
To Jumbo as God, apparently. We're going to move on to that. Vlasic wants the best defensive defenseman trophy. Aaron, this is something we have brought up for seasons, for years now. And it sounds like he's finally caught attention of our show.
It's very simple.
Hello, Mark Edward. I know you're watching. So there you go.
You have the Norris Trophy for best defenseman. Keep that.
Yeah.
Don't change anything. Create a new one. The Bobby Orr Award.
Yeah.
The defenseman who has the most points. There you go. Easy peasy. What would you do?
I would have offensive defenseman and defensive defenseman.
So what would you name it after?
Orr is offensive defenseman,
right.
And Norris is so old nobody even knows how he played the game, but it was before Orr, which means he was a defensive defenseman, right? So that's how I would do it. The Norris is best defensive defenseman. The Orr is the best offensive defenseman.
What I just said.
You don't have to... No. But it's not about most points.
Right, well,
It's just about best offensive defenseman. That's it. So it's not like the Maurice Rocket Richard, right? That one is just straight up most goals, period, right? So there's a little bit more...
also add most assists, Wayne Gretzky Award.
Sure.
Why not?
I'm fine with that.
Why not?
Because it's another forward award. That's why.
Do you know they have this award? Was it the Marc Messier Award presented by Marc Messier? I'm not joking. It's like the Marc Messier Award brought to you by this sponsor, presented by Marc Messier, and then he presents the trophy to the person. It's like it's such a mouthful. It's like, of course the NHL did something stupid like this.
Is the voting done by Marc Messier
I think
alone?
he picks it.
He
I think
does?
he picks who he wants to get.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane.
Fantastic.
Wayne Gretzky Award goes to the person with the most assists on the season.
What happens when they pass away at some point, right? And then somebody else has to give it away. So it's not just a one person.
Well, then
vote
it's
anymore.
just
then you need
Gretzky
actual
trophy.
parameters for
Right.
what it means. Anyway,
And it's the Mark Messier traded
Before he
not
hits us-
presented by Mark Messier.
before he hits us with another get on with it, we're just gonna move on to the Calder watch. Aaron, fire
Time
away.
for the Calder watch.
Yes.
Here, let's go to the promo.
Real quick, just if you can put it in the chat. We know you guys were talking about the volume being a little high. He dropped it a bit. Just let us know if that's a little bit better for you. Aaron, take it away.
In first place, we have defense boy out of Montreal, Lane Hutson. This kid, unbelievable. He has, as of late, let me look at his points here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points in the last 5 games. That's insane for a defenseman, for a 20-year-old defenseman in the league. So he's at 3 goals and 36 assists on the season, putting him in sole possession of first place, and he is 5 points ahead now. What?
CJ, drink the. You know what, CJ? I didn't get a chance to drink. I'm gonna do it right now. I don't even care. Go ahead, flip the camera to him. All right,
Matvei Michkov in second place. Still holding on, but barely by the thread here. He's got, in 46 games, 14 goals, 20 assists, 34 points, minus 10. 14 of those 34 points on the power play. So he does a lot of work on the power play. Yeah. But on his heels, and now actually should be passing because it goes by point per game, Macklin Celebrini, our boy, with a goal tonight. He's got 14 goals, 20 assists. Sounds very familiar, just like Michkov. However, he's done it in, 8 less games? A minus 17. That's only because he's on for a lot of empty net goals, getting a lot more minus than he should be. He's got 10 points on the power play. His face-off percentage, I love looking at this. He is, if I can even scroll over here.
But see, this is what I want to see, right? Okay, it's 48.7% on the face. This is what I want to see when it comes to, how do we judge who's the best rookie here, right? I want to see not just how many goals and assists did he have. It's stuff like face-offs. It's stuff like, does he forecheck? Right? How's his 200-foot game? How many takeaways does he have? How many giveaways has he had? Like things like that. It should be more than just points, and I hope that they do look at the whole gamut, right? So, anyway,
and not in this list is goalies. I don't have Dustin Wolf.
Right.
Up. So, I think still kind of a 3-headed race, maybe even a 4-headed race with Wolf, if you include Wolf. But Will Smith jumping up, I said earlier, he's up into 7th place with his 18 points. Logan Stankoven starting to catch up now, kind of catch up. Yeah. He got a couple points, so he's holding steady at 4th place. Cutter Gauthier, the guy who got traded from Philly to Anaheim, right behind him. What's up?
No, just the way you say his name, Cutter Gauthier. For me, it's a little more. It's Cutter Gauthier.
Sorry.
I can't help it, man.
I don't have the French accent.
No.
I took Spanish in
so
high school, yeah. I don't have the French down.
Somebody had asked about the drop-off between the top 3 and everybody else. And Macklin and Michkov are both tied at 34 points. If we're just talking about points in the drop-off from there. And the next one in line, Stankoven, has 23. So 11 points different. That's why it's a 3-headed race. 4 if you include Dustin Wolf, right?
I don't think those guys are going to catch him.
If there's anybody below Michkov or Celebrini or Hutson at this point, forget it, right? So it's kind of like when you're looking at, like after Thanksgiving, a certain team is at a certain point in the standings, they ain't coming back at this point, right? I'm pretty sure that's how this is looking for this Calder race at this point.
The only thing that could really derail these top 3 guys are injuries at this point. If they can stay healthy, they're probably going to keep their pace up, plus or minus a couple points here and there. So it'll be interesting to see what Lane Hutson, I think, is going to be obviously at the top right now. I think because he's East Coast. Same with Michkov, he's going to get a little East Coast bias here for voting because a lot of people don't stay up late to watch Celebrini, which is a crime.
Yeah.
But considering he is 18 years old, Celebrini, versus these guys that are 20, right? They got 2 years on him for growth. I think what he's doing in the face-off circle is amazing. Obviously, everything outside of the points is great. He's still leading points per game compared to everyone else. So there's a chance that he still surpasses all of these guys. Sharks need to put together some wins. He needs to get some chunks of points coming. I do think it'll be coming. I'm still a firm believer that he's going to be winning this Calder race. What do you think?
I have to agree with you. I think he's just going to pick his game right back up. I know he had a bit of a lull, and we say a bit of a lull, and I just said in the last 5 games he's got 5 points, right? Mm-hmm. So he's still a point per game over this past week of atrocious Sharks hockey. So, he's still contributing, which is great. And again, for me, it's not just the points, but look at the points per game. Again, he's missed a lot of games. Layden Hudson has played a lot more games than he has. So so not only does Macklin have more points per game, so you're going to like this, Layden Hudson hasn't won a single faceoff. So there's that. Just
not even 3-on-3, lazy bum. Jeez.
What a bum. You bum! Anyway, so moving on from Calder Watch, we're looking at upcoming games, Aaron, of which we've only got 2 because today is Tuesday and they already played a game today.
Yep. And yesterday.
And yesterday, yes. So the only other games we have are just the 2. I think it's, what would we say, Thursday? This Thursday against Nashville, which again was a game I'm very much looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to see how do the Sharks bounce back against the exact same group that they just lost to in embarrassing fashion. This is one of those games when they lost today that is kind of, it makes you a little bit embarrassed to be a Sharks fan. Now, the Sharks have been horrible for many years now, and we've had some really bad losses, like 10-goal against losses, right? This is one of those games that makes you really embarrassed to be a Sharks fan. And after that much bad hockey, it's finally come. So there you are. Now, again, I'm happy to see how they bounce back in this game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think that they're going to see that they have it in them to come out to a big lead against this group. They have it in them to dominate, at least in that first period, the way that they did, right? And it's just a matter of them understanding and learning that they cannot take their foot off the gas. And I think it's going to be very valuable that it is the same group. I also think that with Askarov being there and hopefully being in the pipes, he's going to have a little bit of extra motivation. You know what, guys? I got a personal vendetta against these guys here. I got your back. I'm going to stand on my head. We're going to get this dub.
That, and we'll see if Toffoli's back in the lineup. Yeah. And Sturm. Who knows if that was a serious injury, if it was just kind of a banged up, can't really go today, but I will be on Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, this game we'd mentioned before is the first responders night. So we actually have a little clip here that the Sharks put together of I think these are the warm-up jerseys that they'll be wearing and then auctioning off later. And they were selling and they sold out of challenge tokens. I don't know if your challenge tokens are in the military and more of a military thing, but they do it with first responders, I guess. It's like a commemorative coin thing. So if you got one of those, congratulations, because they sold out. So that was if you bought your ticket through this special program. So here's a clip of what these jerseys look like, which are actually pretty sweet.
Nice.
So here we go.
That's a nice jersey. Huh?
January 23rd, 2025, Sharks against the Nashville Predators will be First Responders Night at SAP Center at San Jose. And as part of that, we're going to be doing some fundraising as well to help the victims in Los Angeles. We all stand together in the hockey world, and we hope you stand with us.
Come on, Sharks fans. Come support the first responders, January 23rd, 2025.
I love Jason Demers. He's such a goofball. He's so funny. I hope we can get him on the show because I think that would be a very good interview. I'm sure he's got plenty of stories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he'd be great to have on here. He's a great personality. Guys like Dan Boyle that we've had on the show, and of course, I mean Scott Hannon. I didn't realize how kind of silly Scott Hannon can be until we had him on the show. But I already know how silly Jason Demers is. I don't know. If we had him on the show, I think he would just take over.
Yes.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I have no issues with that.
And the other one is Stalock. I thought Alex Stalock is a great personality, great interview. Both those guys, Stalock and Demers, do a lot of the radio work with Dan Rusanowski. Mm-hmm. And I think their post-game interviews are great. And they kind of took over the role from Oh my God, Brett Hedican, because Brett Hedican moved on. So I think they do a fantastic job of. I like having the former NHL player interviewing a current NHL player because they've gone through the same stuff and kind of know the little nuances and stuff and know how to ask a question that kind of gets in and gets a little more personality dragged out of the player versus getting the boring, what's it called, copycat answer of, well, I just got to work it around the boards and get the puck deep and.
Or the you guys had a 4-goal lead in this game and you end up losing by 2. What's the mood in the locker room? Yep, we're ecstatic.
Yeah, so great.
We just stunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to go. Okay, so that one there. If you get the chance to head out to the rink, definitely do that. But the game on Saturday, 7 p.m. against the Florida Panthers, reigning champs.
Yep,
coming to the Bay.
That's probably gonna be an ugly game.
No, thanks for not.
Florida's just good. I'm sorry. Florida's a good team. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good game. Just come out, watch them get the pucks deep. Maybe score a goal. Work hard.
Yeah.
Get those skates moving.
There you go. Good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Love it. Fantastic.
I'm not a Jason Demers.
Fantastic. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else really. Was there any comments in there you wanted to pull out? Some good ones there. We've had pretty much some goofy comments all night. People calling me out for the bingo card thing.
There were some questions about Pride Night.
Yeah.
Pride Night was last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, I think it was. People asking about why the Pride Night was passed. That's a good question. It's a good question to ask the Sharks because we don't have the answers for it. So they didn't even do the warm-up jerseys, did they? Yeah, they didn't do it. No. So they kind of pulled out last minute.
Or an on-ice photo.
Or on-ice photo for post-game. Usually there's a post-game. We've been going to it for years. I was there. Yeah, you were at the game. That's just...
Yeah, I think they said you needed to have like 60 people or 50 people for an on-ice photo, and they had 60. Yeah. So I don't know what happened there, but
it's a great question.
It's too bad.
Great question.
Anyway,
I'll just leave it at
that. Any other comments in there we want to pull out before we end the show here? No. Any last thoughts on?
Demers was like, you could still suit up for us and quarterback our power play.
You see him doing push-ups with Nolly, right?
No.
Oh gosh, when they score goals and whatnot, when the boys are scoring, they get doing some push-ups and stuff, and they're always critiquing each other on their form. Tuck your elbows in there, Nolly. He tells them. I love it. Just a great personality. Again, would love to get him on here for you guys, as I'm sure that would be a very entertaining episode for you. So, that'd be great. Okay, well, if there's nothing else... No, we're good. Okay, hey, guys, I do appreciate you being here. And Brykar, welcome to the membership. Fantastic. Love it. Love seeing it. It's great to see these guys who have been supporting the show for so long just being here, becoming members. Sorry, I can't speak. And, again, supporting the show. Again, if you'd also like to support the show, there's other ways you can do that. You can do that with the Super Chat function, and you can tip us on Venmo at the Fin Factory. Either way, you put a note in there. We'll say it live on the show, or we can do it on the next one if you do it when you're watching this after the fact. That's totally fun. Or you can go to thefinfactory.com, check out any of the merch we have for sale. Have stuff like the hats, sweatshirts, the shirts, custom shoelaces, all kinds of things.
Beat off walls.
Custom beat off walls, I guess. there's that too. I don't know if were we selling that? What the heck is going on here? Anyway, it's a great way to support the show. Also, again, the whole membership thing, like Brykar just did. So, again, guys, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show. Aaron, any last thing you want to push out to them? Or?
No. Just I saw on Reddit actually posted today that people are switching over to Blue Sky more from Twitter. So they're looking for kind of a Sharks feed, and we built one. So if you are on Blue Sky and you're looking, look for the Fin Factor, and I think I pinned it on our top post so you can find a custom feed. You just click on it, like it, and then it'll create, basically you have your home feed like a Twitter. It's just like Twitter. Home feed, but then there's another feed of just Shark stuff, and it pulls anyone, if they write anything that says San Jose Sharks, SJ Sharks, the future is teal, Celebrini, anything in there is going to pop up in there. Mm-hmm. So it kind of helps put everything in one place. Especially if you're new and you're coming over and you don't know anyone to follow. There's a lot of people in there, and there's more beat writers coming over. Shang is on there. I think Curtis Pichelka is on there. I think, who's the other one?
Max Miller?
Max Miller's on there. There's a couple of them. So they're starting to slowly migrate over. You're seeing more sports on there. It's becoming more Twitter-like.
Yeah.
So in a good way. In the old school Twitter way.
Yeah, and again, it's people who are active because they are just signing up and starting to use it, as opposed to a lot of the Twitter accounts or X accounts, whatever, that are being a little bit stagnant. So definitely a little bit more active, I think, over there on Blue Sky, which is nice. Okay,
guys, get on with it.
So I'm gonna slow roll this, dude. Anyway.
I'll just run credits.
Yeah, you just keep going? Okay. He's going to hit the button on me. Okay, fine. For super producer Jason, who's got the magic touch over here, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.